Well, hello folks and welcome. Today's video is going to be a little bit different to the usual test ride format because today I'm going to be talking about my bike, this bike, which is a 2017 Yamaha mt09. I've had the bike for 12 months now. I've done 9,000 kilometers on it, and in this video I'm going to go through what I like about it, what I don't like about it, how much it's cost me, and a few other things you might want to consider if you're in the market for one. So I bought this bike as like my do-everything bike. I wanted to be able to commute on it, wanted to be able to have fun on the weekends, and I wanted to be able to take it on some trips. And for that, it's been brilliant. It's been able to do all those things, no worries. I've taken it to the drag strip. I loaded it up with luggage and took it down to Tasmania earlier in the year. And then there's been plenty of usual Sunday riding as well. So I might just walk over the bike and talk about a few of the things I've changed and why I did those. So the first one, you can see these radiator side guards here. I did that just because it looks cool. Similarly, I've got these Rizoma LED indicators. Again, just tidies up the front end of the bike a little bit. Up here, I've added heated grips to the bike, which has been a godsend. I would totally recommend that if you're considering doing any distance on your bike. I've added this tank protector here. I've got the LED indicators at the back here as well, but while the front ones are just for bling, these ones actually serve a practical purpose as well. When you put saddlebags over the side of the mt09 here, the standard indicators come out quite a way and they foul against the saddlebags. So if you're going to run some saddlebags on the back of your mt09, just think about that. You might need to replace your indicators or get something a little bit smaller at least. And the other mod, which no mt09 is complete without, the Kropovich titanium exhaust system. It totally transforms the sound of the bike and is worth its weight in gold. As I just mentioned a moment ago, I've also added the saddlebags, the rear rack and the windscreen, all of which aren't on the bike at the moment, but I'll splice a bit of video in here from the Tasmania trip so you can see what the mt09 looks like when it's all loaded up. So that about does it for a basic overview of the bike. So let's get on and go for a bit of a ride, and I'll talk a bit about what I love about the bike, what I think could be improved on the bike, and also other bikes you might want to consider if you're looking at the mt09. Let's go. All right, sun's getting low. Let's get some riding done before the sun goes down. So I've come to this road on the edge of Sydney because this kind of road just is what the mt09 was made for. You got a smooth surface, nice flowing corners that don't test the suspension too much, and it's just awesome in these kind of situations. Leave it in third or fourth gear, just roll on. Yeah, so we've done an overview of this bike. If you're not super familiar with the mt09, they did make a bunch of changes to the 2017 bike. They revised the front forks and they're now fully adjustable. They revised the shock, added a quick shifter, they redid the styling at the front. So in my opinion, if you're looking at a used mt09, I do think it's worth paying the extra to get a 2017 bike, because the extras that you get on it will be more than you would save by going for the older bike and adding them. Anyway, back to what I like about this bike. Number one is the versatility. It's got heaps of power for the open road. It's light and nimble, so it's fun on twisty roads. The lightness and the high, wide handlebars make it really good for using in traffic. And the power and torque means you can use it as a hoon bike as well. Anything on tarmac you can pretty much do on the MT09, so it gets a massive tick for that. Another massive one is this 850cc 3-cylinder Yamaha engine. It's just awesome, man. You don't get sick of it at all. It's got torque right off the bottom, but then it'll rev to 11 or 12,000 RPM. Again, just so versatile. Use it in so many situations. And the sound. Oh yeah. The final thing that I absolutely love about the MT09, and I think this is a really important one that shouldn't be overlooked, is the bang for your buck. I think people forget how cheap these bikes are compared to some of the new bikes that are coming out now. So you might look at a Street Triple RS or a 790 Duke now that those are out and think, oh wow, that's got a lot more features or potentially a better bike on paper than the MT09. But those bikes are thousands of dollars more expensive. And unless you're going to really wring its neck and get all the benefit of those extra features, I'd probably just as soon be on one of these and have the extra change in my pocket. So what about gripes with the MT09? No bike's perfect, right? What things do I not like so much about the MT09? It's kind of the flip side of that versatility argument, right? You could say that the bike's a bit compromised. So for example, when you go riding in the twisties, the foot pegs can be a bit low and you can scrape those. Because the handlebars are high and towards you, it's comfortable, but it makes for a compromised position if you're trying to, you know, get in a sporty position and attack corners. But I'll live with that. I think if you want a really focused bike, you'll go and buy a sports bike. But if you want a bike that'll do everything, the MT09 is going to be a better choice. Probably my only real beef with the MT09 is that rear shock. You might have heard people say that the early MT09s were really unpredictable in the corners because they were so soft. They pitch back to front as you were trying to negotiate a corner. And I haven't ridden one of the old MT09s, but I'll break it down like this. I think the front forks, really good. For the level of riding I'm at, they are absolutely fine. They feel safe. I get good feedback, and on bumpy corners, you know, they're not perfect, but it feels predictable enough. What I struggle with a little bit more is the shock out the back. And the reason being, even with the preload turned right up, it's just too soft. And so that gives that back to front pogo effect that people talk about. If you're mid-corner and you hit a decent enough bump, it'll pitch the whole bike forward and then backwards. And you can almost feel the rear of the bike getting unsettled. And it's not dangerous, but it just doesn't give you the confidence to attack the corners the same way you can on like a Street Triple, for example. That's probably my only major beef with this bike. The only other things, and these are tiny ones if you're nitpicking, the fuel tank's only 14 litres, so you get a reserve light after about 180 kilometres, which is not a lot, so that can be a bit annoying doing lots of petrol stops. And the only other one is on this dash, the numbers on the tachometer are actually kind of obscured by the actual outside of the dash. It's almost impossible to reference while you're on the move. But I mean, if you're that dependent on the tacho, you probably should be paying more attention to the road anyway. I want to finish the video with a little hill climb here because for me, this road just sums up what makes the MT09 so fun. So this is a tight, narrow road, lots of blind corners. And if you just put the MT09 in third gear, I won't even have to think about the gearbox. I'll just be able to take it all the way to the top in third. No worries. So yeah, if you're looking at an MT09, you're probably going to be thinking about some other options as well. Z900, Street Triple, Suzuki GSX S750, KTM Duke 790. I've ridden all of those except the Duke 790. and I will link a video here where I do a 4-way comparison between the first 4. If you want the really short version of that, I would say the Street Triple is still the most accomplished of the 4, but it's also 50% dearer here in Australia than an mt09. So again, I would rather have a slightly compromised machine. Obviously I'm biased because I bought one, but I would happily live with the compromise and use the mt09. I had to break my 3rd gear promise because this guy's going so slow. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, I do test rides on a regular basis, so if you want to be notified when those new test ride videos come out, hit that subscribe button down below and you'll be the first to hear about it. So that about does it for the mt09 owner's review, guys. Any other questions, shoot me a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer it for you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.